The people that look around and say, man, this sucks. We're at the bottom in terms of wealth. Our families are broken up. Our communities are dangerous. Our kids are not being educated. We want to fix these things. Our quality of life has been low, largely because as everybody's up here fighting, as the dinosaurs are fighting, we're like, our communities like the little mice that are scattering, moving out of the way of the dinosaurs. And I personally feel like we have to have some people that are going to pay attention to that. And so that's why their fight is not really as interesting to me as the fight that's happening really in our communities. The fight for you to maintain control of your kids and educate them your way, the fight for you to build wealth and build financial security, the fight for you to break generational curses, the fight for you to understand what mental and physical health looks like so you can apply this, and the fight for you to shift your culture to one that's going to lead to sustainability and productivity. And another thing that is critical to observe here is that because African Americans have been left out of American wealth for so long, because we've been just hammered and had so much stolen from us, we don't have the resources to even play the big boy presidential politics game. The big boy, let me tell you something. How many of y'all, give me a yes if you've heard of the term super PAC. Has anybody heard about super PACs? Give me a yes if you've heard about super PACs. And give me a yes if you understand how critical super PACs are for raising money for elections. I put up some data here. I'm gonna just throw this out here, and I want you to ask yourself: do you think that the black community could even make a dent in any of this? I heard, for example, I heard about, I think 20,000 black men got together and raised $1.5 million for Kamala Harris, or maybe it was 2 million, something like that. Do you know that the total amount spent by all candidates and outside groups on super PACs in the 2020 presidential election was almost $5 billion? That Biden's team raised 2.74 billion. Trump raised 1 point, sorry, scratch that. Joe and his allies raised 1.68 billion. Trump and his allies raised 1.06 billion. So if you compare that $1 billion number, right, to what it takes to become president of the United States, and this is just the super PACs. This ain't talking about the other donations. Uh, I really would kind of ask, any black man who was very proud to be on the call to raise the $1 million or 2 million for Kamala, I would say, well, are you really getting the bang for your buck that you fully expect? Or is this like a symbolic bang for your buck? Like, are you really buying the kind of influence that you feel like you're buying? Or maybe that $2 million could have been better used to go raise money for a black neighborhood that's raising black children, keeping black children safe, or maybe building a black owned school. Not to criticize the decision that was made, but just to say, are we trying to play in a game where it's difficult for us to economically play in that game because our wealth has been depleted to the point where we're putting pennies in a jar where other people are putting in $100 bills? Do you follow what I'm saying? If you put a penny in a jar and everybody else is dropping $100 bills in there, your pennies are going to be ignored. Your pennies won't matter much. They won't mean much of anything to anybody. But guess what? Pay attention now. Listen, if you got a family though, if at the same time you're putting pennies into massa's jar that's got $100 bills in it, you might have relatives that say, hey, those pennies could actually do something here. I could buy me some soup with that. We're hungry over here. We're broke. We're struggling. As much as we are pouring money into this endless abyss of political finance money, super PACs and all that, we'll drop our million in there or whatever. That same million can go and build a black owned school run by some really motivated black teachers who can educate 50,000 kids in the next decade. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying here? It's really, it's like the difference between taking medicine that is pure and direct to the bloodstream versus taking something that's very diluted. When your energy and your resources are not targeted specifically to solve the problem that you're trying to solve, you can end up wasting your time and wasting your opportunity. It's almost like when there was the former president of Xavier. I don't know his name. I can't remember his name. I'm not good with names, but I like him. He wrote an op-ed article, and I supported him 100% on this. Anybody remember when Dr. Dre raised an insane amount of money for USC? Anybody remember that? I can't remember what the amount was. It was maybe like, I don't remember. It was the biggest. It was one of the biggest gifts ever. I can't remember. It was tens of millions of dollars. And he wrote a great article. He said, if you give that money to USC, they're going to pee out that money in about a month. That's not that the amount you gave them won't fund that institution for more than 2 or 3 weeks. But if you gave that same amount of money to an HBCU, not only would that money be going directly into your community, it's not diluted, it's going directly into the community, but that amount of money could fund an institution for several years. And they could build on that and build an endowment off of that and educate Black children for the next 100 years. It was 70 million. Thank you. I forgot. And so when he wrote the article and Kimbrough, I think his name was Kimbrough, the president. I wish I had his name in front because I like him. He deserves credit for this, but I don't remember his name. And I remember when I saw what he did, I said, okay. So I like the way you wrote this article. It's very professional. I told him, I said, I like the way you wrote this article. It's very professional. You're a mainstream guy. You're more acceptable to the establishment than I am. I'm the renegade. It's good cop, bad cop. You're gonna be the good cop. I'll be the bad cop. I'm gonna write the article that really needs to be written to support what you wrote. And so basically, I wrote this piece on it, and it was read by millions of people. I remember it got around. One guy who actually the guy who discovered Dr. A lot of y'all don't know this about NWA. There was a guy named Alonzo who introduced Dr. Dre to Eazy-E and Ice Cube and all that, and he wrote a book called NWA, Not Without Alonzo. So I went to LA and I gave a presentation at I think it was who was it? The brother that created Kwanzaa. He has a library out there or bookstore. Give me his name. Y'all know I'm bad with it. Dr.